I know some of you are saying, and rightfully so, it's about time that Rhys Hoskins delivered, and he did on Monday night. We'll get to all that coming up next as the Brewers take their opener with the Texas Rangers in a big homestand. Starts off with a victory. We'll get to all that coming up next here on Locked On Brewers.
You are Locked On Brewers, your daily Milwaukee Brewers podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Boy, just so many moments, big moments for the Milwaukee Brewers this year, whether they're throwing a guy out at the plate to end a game, robbing of a home run, a game-winning home run, or game-tying home run, or like what Hoskins did on Monday night to kick off a homestand. When things look dead for the Milwaukee Brewers, lifeless again, we've been down that road. Hoskins delivers a grand slam, flips the game, and the Brewers win 6-3 over the Rangers. Good to have you along. How you doing, everybody? On a Tuesday night, Chuck Freeman here, Locked On Brewers, Tuesday morning, Locked On Brewers, part of Locked On Podcast Network. We are your team every day. Good to follow you along, have you follow me along. Good to have you along. Google, Spotify, Apple, we're on all the major downloads. We're the number one Brewer podcast on the internet for the simple reason because you great Brewer fans out there made us that way. I mean, we put out content and you guys respond by whether it's on Twitter, watching the videos, just all your great reaction. I mean, I can't thank you enough. And I got some messages today from people who wanted to meet up at AmFam Field this week, wanted to run into me, what days I was going to be there. I'm going to be out there Wednesday and Friday and Sunday. But by all means, yes, message me. Love to take a picture with you guys, chat with you guys, talk Brewer baseball. I'm in the press box. So you can't come in there, but you see me walking around. To get to the press box, you got to go through the stands and all that. So wherever you are, just DM me and we'll find a place to meet up or whatever, but always great. And someone asked me too, when are we going to have that Locked On Brewers meetup with all the fans out there? I'm thinking maybe during the All-Star break. I'm thinking maybe that, although I'd like to do it around a Brewers road game. I really would like to do that. I'll take your suggestions on that as well. Chuck Freeman, follow me on Twitter, Chuck Freeman, FREIMUND. And of course, follow us along on our growing YouTube page, Chuck Freeman, Locked On Brewers. Hit the subscribe button, hit the bell. That alerts you every time we drop an episode here on Locked On Brewers. This episode brought to you by PrizePicks, the easiest and most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. Go to prizepicks.com/LockedOnMLB. And use all lowercase there, Locked On MLB, for that first deposit match up to $100. Yeah, this one looked like this was going to be going in the wrong direction for the Milwaukee Brewers, to say the least. They just dropped 3 of 4 in San Diego, and they trailed 2-0, 2-1 in this game. And I thought, oh no. I mean, I was hoping they were going to build on that game against San Diego. And Michael Lorenzo is a tough pitcher for the Rangers. He really is. He's tough. He did not have his best stuff against the Brewers on Monday night. He admitted in the locker room after the game, did not have his best stuff, was trying to fight through it all night long. And the Brewers finally got to him in the 6th inning with a leadoff double by Will Contreras. Go figure. Will Contreras has started and been in the middle of so many rallies this year. Will Contreras, all-star type catcher, which we're going to get to a little bit later on in the show. But, man, just how great he was again. Starting that, then there were some walks. The bullpen came on and just was lousy. First pitch swinging, Hoskins delivers a grand slam, and a 3-1 deficit turns into a 5-3 lead. Monasterio adds an RBI base hit. But Hoskins, rightfully so. I've been taking a lot of criticism from day one. I love the signing of Rhys Hoskins. I still do. I don't have regrets from anything I said about Rhys. I know some of you are disappointed. He's batting .224. He's got 11 home runs. He went through the hamstring injury for about a month or so back in late May into June. He came back. But it's been a struggle for Hoskins. He was on a roll there, got hurt, and now he's hit 2 home runs, one in Philadelphia and one at AmFam Field since coming off the injured list. But he just can't seem to get going. But Murphy after the game, interesting. Murphy said he got emotional when Hoskins hit his home run. I've never heard that from a Brewers manager. A manager getting emotional after a guy hit a regular season home run in June. I don't know if I've heard a manager say anything about a player doing something that special anytime. But much less here we are in June. Obviously, Murphy, ever so much, the player's manager, was joyful to see Hoskins deliver the home run, talking about it at his press conference today. And the fact that, the Brewers manufactured runs. They manufactured runs in this game. They got the double. They got a couple of walks, loaded the bases. And as Murph was talking in his post-game press conference, it's not the prettiest way to win by walking, but it's still offense. Yeah, offense, will take it anyway. Doesn't matter. Doesn't have to be glorified or whatever. I'll take that. And Hoskins turns around that game, a 3-1 deficit into a 5-3 lead, and they go on to the win. Other parts of this game, Peralta was not great. He was not great by any means. Lasted 5 innings. Jared Koenig, he struggled. Jared struggled in this game. Walked 3 guys. And you know what? For him, he's been so good. Koenig has been so good. And I just been bragging about him on my podcast yesterday that guy should be an all-star. I was on ESPN Lacrosse talking about how Jared Koenig, I was talking about that Monday night, that Jared Koenig should be an all-star. No question about that. Like I said, the podcast yesterday, Jared Koenig at all-star. He walks guys, but then he got out of it. Struck out the guy, the remainder of the hitters and got out of the inning. And then you saw that Contreras took the ball and whipped it probably in the 4th deck. I was not at the game. I don't know where the ball went, but he whipped it up there and in celebration. It was pretty cool. I hope somebody was paying attention and not, slamming down one of the bratwursts or, drinking their 5th beer of the night and got hit on the noggin by that. But that was a little dangerous throw for Contreras to throw one up there. But you know what? Enthusiasm, excitement. That's what William Contreras is all about. And the Brewers get a big victory. When, let's face it, there's not a lot of us who thought, we want us to be positive about the Brewers, but didn't think they were going to turn that game around like that. That was headed in the same direction as so many losses this year, where, there they are, sitting on 1 run, stranding guys on base, doing the same old things. And I'm like, all right, this one's probably headed to like a 5-1 Brewers loss. Let's get him on Tuesday night. But that 6th inning, they turn the game around. Bullpen lights out the rest of the night. And McGill picks up the save in the 9th inning with a fist pump on a strikeout for the final out. And the Brewers go on to the win. But Jared Koenig working out of that jam, keeping that microscopic ERA of under 1. Just amazing. And didn't allow a hit in the inning, just walks. So Koenig, that batting average was at team batting average against him was 153 going in. So I'm no doubt that lowered as well. But huge homestand. As we said, the Rangers for 3, the Cubs for 3. They're gonna pack them in. Summerfest is going on. The Cubs are here. It's going to be a big weekend next weekend with all those Chicago people coming up and infiltrating our beautiful land, Wisconsin, here and coming up here and trying to take over Summerfest like they do and take over the ballpark. But nonetheless, not going to go down that road. Brewers win Tuesday, game 2 of the series. All-star numbers come out. All-star numbers come out for everybody in Major League Baseball. We'll give you a little update on that and some little commentary on that with what we think, what should happen, who should go in. We touched on this last week, and we'll touch on it again. Chuck Freeman here on Locked On Brewers, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. We are your team every day. Good to have you along here. Chuck Freeman, Locked On Brewers, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. We are your team every day. Here on Locked On Brewers, we pride ourselves on getting you the latest and greatest news on your team, the Milwaukee Brewers, my team, the Milwaukee Brewers. Whether it's the offseason, the draft, spring training, or the playoffs, it's year-round. But you know what else? It's also collection season. That's year-round as well. And just because the tax season is over doesn't mean the IRS is going to stop coming at you for those unfiled taxes. The IRS can garnish your wages. You've heard this before. They can levy your bank accounts. They can seize your property. Don't let the IRS target you. Let the licensed professionals at tax experts at Tax Network USA go to bat for you. Over 14 years of experience, A+ rating by the Better Business Bureau, Tax Network USA has saved their clients over $1 billion in debt. $1 billion in debt. They have saved people. Whether you owe taxes, have complicated matters, you require tax planning, or finally hit that parlay and you need the right forms, give them a call, 1-800-549-1000. Visit tnusa.com/lockedon. That's tnusa.com/lockedon. See that episode description if you're watching me on YouTube right there. That's where you need to go, and they'll take care of you at Tax Network USA. Chuck Freeman here on Locked On Brewers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. We are your team every day, 7:10 for the first pitch coming up on Tuesday night. You get it on Sirius XM, the XXM app. Search Brewers. You get all 162 of the Brewers games right on Sirius XM. Love it, love it, love it. Every baseball game from all MLB on Sirius XM. And, of course, you get the home team call. And if you had Sirius XM, you would have heard Rhys Hoskins and Bob Uecker making the call on that. And I'll just say this. Bob Uecker, cherish every home run that guy calls. Every story that guy calls on the radio. You know, I don't think anybody ever takes it for granted. I know Brewer fans don't do that. We don't do that. But I'm telling you, every home run call when he's on the mic is just fantastic. I mean, nobody. And I listen to a lot of broadcasters all of my life. I don't care if you're talking Harry Carey, Jack Buck, Vin Scully, or whatever. There is nobody who does a better home run call than Bob Uecker. And that's just not, that's just taking the home team, bias of me listening to Uecker for all of my life, the voice track of my life. But he gets Sirius XM and you listen to the Brewers, you would have heard Uecker's call on Rhys Hoskins hitting the home run. Very cool on Monday night. All right, the All-Star game. Phase 2 of the numbers come out. And Contreras is number 1 with catchers, and he should. Real Muto is injured. So, it would be an absolute travesty if Real Muto passed him in the voting. Contreras is an MVP candidate, and he is the best catcher in the game right now, having the best season. Number 1. Yelich still at number 2. As far as outfielders, don't see anybody. Yelich is going to start in the All-Star game. I don't see why he wouldn't. Yelich should start in the All-Star game. And you know what? I'll say this about Yelich. If people didn't think he won comeback player of the year, should have won comeback player of the year last year, this is it. This is it. 21 home runs and a 270 average. We knew Yelich was better than that. And he is. He's just like the old Christian Yelich. He's at the plate. Yeah, he's not hitting 40 some odd home runs, but to me, he is the Christian Yelich, and he is an all-star, bona fide all-star. It is great. And I said before the season with Yelich, I said if the Brewers could get from under that contract, they would, and I still believe that. They don't, 279 and 21 home runs is, when the Brewers pay somebody a lot of money, they got to have big-time results. But I feel like the Brewers this year would be getting their bang for their buck with what they're getting from Christian Yelich. Ortiz is third in the voting. I went off on that last week. Ortiz, he shouldn't be starting ahead of Bohm from Philadelphia, but certainly he's third behind Machado. Machado, if you want to see him continue to walk out ground balls, vote for that guy right there. But Ortiz, I believe, is going to make the All-Star team. I think Contreras, Yelich, Ortiz should make the All-Star team. The Brewers are in first place. Third best team in baseball, I think. Well, no, I'll say they're They're not the third best team in baseball. They're the third best team in the American League. They're in the top 6 or 7 in baseball. But Contreras, Yelich, Ortiz, and I would say Jared Koenig deserves to be in the All-Star game. Those 4 right there. Brewers should have 4 All-Stars. Contreras, Yelich, Ortiz, and, Willie Adamas. How could you discount what he's doing? His batting average in the 240s, but the RBIs and the home runs and the big moments so far, the home runs after the 6th inning. I mean, Adamas as well. Guy plays every game. See that story with Adamas that, he takes, I didn't know this. He road or home, they always find a place for him to go take a 30-minute nap before a game. Well, if somebody wakes him up and tell him, Willie, we got a game to play, and don't let him oversleep over there. But Willie takes a nice, refreshing 30-minute nap, which is great. NBA players do that. I think baseball players do it. I know NBA players, they have the shoot around midday, and then they take a little nap in the afternoon in the hotel or at home or whatever. Willie does the same thing. Takes a little half-hour nap before the game. Now, you think about it, man. If you're about ready to play a game, you're intense, you're ready to go, and, I don't know. As me as a player, even before I'm golfing, I can't take a nap. I'm just I'm fired up about taking golf seriously. Willie's playing a Major League Baseball game, and he finds times just to go out and some people can just crash and fall asleep anywhere. That must be Willie Adamas, because they find places for him to sleep, get his 30-minute nap in. Hey, whatever it takes, man, get that little refreshing nap. And sometimes, you feel like $1 million after a nap like that. But Willie, I don't think he would, Brewers aren't going to put 5 players in the All-Star game. There's no doubt about that. All right. And Trevor McGill, somebody asked me about Trevor McGill. Now, even though he's been just amazing, you heard Tim Dillard on the broadcast go off on Trevor McGill in a good way and just talk about how amazing McGill is. And I said this on the podcast last night. I said, McGill, just got a weather alert. We got some serious weather moving in Wisconsin tonight. So I'm getting these weather alerts on my phone. McGill, I said in the podcast last night, I said he's going to move down to the 8th inning spot. It's going to be tough too, but Devin Williams is your closer. There's no way Devin Williams is going to come in and be a setup guy. He's coming back to close. Maybe they work him in another role to begin with, but Devin Williams is eventually going to be closing on this team. But it's tough to take Trevor McGill out of that closer spot, when he's throwing 101. But you have McGill throwing 101, and you have Williams doing what he's doing. McGill, just amazing. 3 teams gave up on that guy. 3 teams gave up on Trevor McGill, and the Brewers were smart enough to pick him up. I know a lot of people criticize the Brewers front office, and I get it. I get it. I totally get it. But it's moves like this that you say, man, what a great move. Jared Koenig, great move. I mean, Matt Arnold has done some pretty special moves. I think we'll do a podcast on that coming up here a little bit later on in the week. We come back, we'll answer a couple of questions on Twitter. Chuck Freeman here on Locked On Brewers, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. We are your team every day. Good to have you along here, Chuck Freeman, on a Tuesday morning. SupplyHouse. Got a lot of guys out there who do some serious work. Skilled tradesmen out there. You guys who do the real work in our world. Not that everybody else doesn't, but man, SupplyHouse.com, great for all you guys with the skilled trades. SupplyHouse.com is the reliable way to order plumbing, HVAC, electrical products online. Their easy-to-use website is packed with helpful resources and the latest product info to get you getting that job done right. Shop a complete inventory of over 200,000 parts, over 400 top brands, and get your order delivered right to your door with fast shipping from coast to coast. Need help with an order? Get expert support and industry-leading service from the friendliest folks in the business, and talk to a real person every time you give them a call. Tell you about that in a second. Pros in the skilled trades can get a competitive edge by joining SupplyHouse.com's free Trade Master program. Every Trade Master gets access to a dedicated phone line, free shipping, discounts on every order, and join the thousands of trade pros already benefiting with the free membership at SupplyHouse.com/T-M and order plumbing, HVAC, electrical supplies from anywhere. Just a few clicks at SupplyHouse.com. Also, the show is brought to you by PrizePicks. PrizePicks, hey, you guys out there who think you could put together, a player, a couple of players, maybe 6 players, really multiply your money. You could turn $10 into $1,000 with PrizePicks. Pick more or less with stats on daily fantasy sports. Unlike other apps on PrizePicks, it's you against the numbers. Get in on the daily action with your friends. Become part of the PrizePicks community today. They also have promotions going on there. PrizePicks has got you covered every week, lowering select player stats projections on Tuesdays to help your lineup hit, or getting your entry fees back when you have a losing lineup on Friday. How about player projection lineups? Let's say Caitlin Clark, more or less on 3-pointers made. Kyle Schwarber, what do you think he's going to do at the plate? How about our guy, Christian Yelich? What kind of night you think he's going to have? How about Contreras? Do you think he's going to have multiple hits? Multiply your money with PrizePicks today. Download the PrizePicks app. Use the promo code LOCKEDONMLB. That first deposit match up to $100. Use that promo code again, LOCKEDONMLB. PrizePicks for deposit match up to $100. Use that promo code LOCKEDONMLB. Pick more, pick less. It's that easy with PrizePicks. Down the stretch we go here on Locked On Brewers, part of Locked On Podcast Network. We are your team every day. All right, Twitter. Lots of you always tweet at me during the games, and as I've told you all the time, please tweet at me, DM me if you want, if you feel more comfortable doing that. Hey, whatever you want, hit me up. Chuck Freeman, Freimund. Brian says, Chuck Freeman, is it me or do the Brewers have the most 5-run innings in the MLB this year? LOL. Well, they had a 5-run inning yesterday on Sunday. They had a 5-run inning Monday. Feel like it. Sometimes with these guys, it's just feast or famine. Sometimes these guys will put up 22 hits at a game. Then 23 hits. They did that about a month ago. And other times, as we all know, they just can't get out of their own way. But yeah, I don't know about that stat, the most 5-run innings in the game, but I'm telling you, they lead Major League Baseball. They would have to lead Major League Baseball. I don't know if there's a stat for this, for the most games of having 1 run or less going into the 6th or 7th inning. Is there any baseball team? I watch a lot of baseball on the package, watching, I always got an eye on the enemy with the Reds and the Cubs and those teams. But I'm telling you, the Brewers, if there's some stat for that, to lead the league in the most games where they take a game into the 6th inning and beyond by scoring 1 run or less, that is our Milwaukee Brewers. Let's see. I was talking about Rhys Hoskins on Twitter. Ryan says, about freaking time. This team's offense is inept till the 6th inning of most games. Well, sometimes it's inept the entire game, Ryan. Sometimes it's inept the entire game. They just can't get out of their own way. Yeah, offensively, that's just something we're going to have to live with for the rest of the year with Rhys Hoskins. A shout out to the folks in El Dorado, Wisconsin, a little west of Fond du Lac. Got mentioned. I always like the Tavern of the Game they mentioned on the Brewers broadcast. The Tavern of the Game was a place in El Dorado, and Jeff Levering had no idea where it was. And I don't blame him. I don't blame him one bit. But El Dorado is west of Fond du Lac, and it's the home of the 2-time defending state champion girls basketball team, the Laconia Spartans, who's going to bring everybody back for a 3-peat this year, next season, next school year. But El Dorado is part of that whole Laconia community, and a bar in El Dorado was the Tavern of the Game. And I thought that was pretty cool. I always like Tavern of the Game, and they'll flash up a city, and I'll be like, oh, man, I've been there. Well, I haven't been there yet. Oh, I never knew. And they'll some unusual name like the Moosehead or something. Just really cool. But yeah, Jeff Levering did not know where El Dorado is. And again, I don't blame him. Not coming down on him. But for people who didn't know, they're the home of the 2-time defending state champion Laconia girls basketball team, Division III state champions. All right, that's going to do it for the show today. Hey, man, thanks a lot, everybody. All your comments, Google, Spotify, Apple, please hit the subscribe button on all those. Hit the alert buttons. We're downloading in the middle of the night. Somebody asked me on Twitter, can we do this 7 days a week? Oh, boy, 7 days a week. It's tough. It's tough to do 7 days a week. Maybe when we get toward the pennant race in September, we'll see that. Because a guy messaged me today, or I put it on Twitter. He said, boy, can we get these 7 days a week? Breaking news happens. I'm certainly there. I do broadcast some shorts during the weekend. When I say shorts, the YouTube shorts, they're called 60-second updates on games I do. And I did in the beginning. I did broadcast. I was doing 7 days a week right off the start when I first started last season. It was like, boy, it was tough. I mean, it's tough, because you got to be around home. You got to be around broadcast equipment, because we're video and audio. So you got to be, you got to kind of be anchored at home during all these games. And I'm at the ballpark. Sometimes I'll do one from the ballpark. I'll take the equipment out there, but we'll see. Maybe we'll get to September. We'll try to get certainly in the postseason. October we'll be doing every day. Obviously, when they get in the postseason, we'll be doing 7 days a week. There's no doubt about that. But thank you, everybody. Thanks for all the nice words as always on the podcast. Love you guys, man. Can't do it without you. Wouldn't want to do it without you. And of course, please hit me up on your growing YouTube page. Search Locked On Brewers. Hit the subscribe button. Hit the bell. And our team is in first place and heading for a fun summer and a great rest of the homestand. 2 more with the Rangers, and of course 3 with the Cubs, and of course the Rangers game on Tuesday night. You get it on Sirius XM, the SXM. Just search Brewers, and you get all 162 of Brewers baseball right there. Until then, everybody, Chuck Freeman, Locked On Brewers, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. We are your team every day. Have yourself a great Tuesday.